Welcome, my dear friends. Glad to see you. Thanks for dropping by. I'm Stephen Clements, a writer, a gamer, and an enjoyer of big brain activities in general. On this channel, I perform dramatic readings of my stories, I provide role-playing game reviews, and I interview interesting people. On this episode, we are going to be exploring a short story collection that I put together called Memphis Dirty, Tales from the Dirty South, and the first story in that called the Teahouse of Vile Revolution. So just to give you an idea of what's coming for you, I'm going to read to you from the back cover. Welcome to Memphis, Tennessee, the home of carjackings, dead kings, and some of the dirtiest people on the face of the earth. Crack these covers to witness crackheads run amok, corrupt politicians doing their thing, and gangs ruling the mean streets in the city of blues and barbecue. In this collection of short stories, written by some proud and not so proud sons of the city built on a bluff, you'll experience tales of extreme violence and urban warfare, true and unbelievable real-life stories from the traumatized authors, tales of the strange and the heartache that comes with living in this city that changed the world. Featuring 9 stories by Stephen Clements, Joseph Tate, J.T. Davenport, and Jeff Klitzner. And this first story that we're going to get started on, had a good time writing this. It's cheesy, it's crass, it's violent, and it very much fits into the spirit of the blaxploitation film genre. If you haven't checked that out, I highly recommend it. Blackula, Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. There's all kinds of great movies. Just stay away from Blackenstein. This is not a challenge. I swear to you, you will regret the day if you go and watch that movie. There's so many better movies to watch. But I'm not sure there's so many better stories to read. And so, without further ado, I'll get started with The Teahouse of Vile Revolution by Stephen Clements. "We will conquer them with our vices," read the plaque over the door to the Teahouse of Vile Revolution, before Operation Phase 10 would come crashing down all around them. But as is said, all in its own good time, whether it's a good time or not. Act 1, The Desolation. Rio was his name. Smoking a Lucky Strike cigarette on the street corner, he waited. He waited for the others to show. It was a hot summer's night, the wet brick and concrete glistening in the yellow streetlight. There was a splashing of water in the gutter, and a mean old man with yellow mulatto skin came humping along with his cane in his hand, more a weapon than a support. Blind Apricot Harding meant business tonight. "What's the score, young slacker?" he said to Rio. "We's waiting on the rest of 'em, old man. You bring your birthday presents?" "Bitch, you think I leave home without it?" Old Apricot groaned, violently shaking his cane at the young gun. "I'll show you young bitches how to settle a score." "Pop, bitches!" sounded out of the darkness as a small, wiry young man jumped out of the shadows with a showman's flourish. Rio didn't jump at the dipstick bounding out of the alleyway across the street. Rio was too cool for that. Old Apricot was too mean to flinch. "Four-way, you bother putting on deodorant today? 'Cause I don't want to be smelling your cheap ass all night," barked Apricot. Four-way had a real first name, Durrell, but what other men would try to bury as a shameful incident that they never wanted to recall, he took as a place of pride in his life's accomplishment. "You want some gum, old man? I can smell your arthritis breath from here," Four-way thought he wittily retorted. "What's up, guys?" asked Jerome, a fat young man in a sweater and jacket that always looked too small on his tall frame as he lumbered onto the scene. "That's everybody," Rio calculated. "That'll be enough." "So we gonna whip some ass or stare at each other all night? We got some honor to avenge," boasted old Harding. "Listen, old man, I don't know why we're making a big deal out of it. Every beauty's got to go out with an idiot," said Four-way. "Is that how you keep getting dates, stank ass?" asked Apricot. Plaid sleeves and bare limbs flew in the air as the two went at each other. The smaller men were quickly separated by big man Jerome. "Can we just save it for the real enemy, guys? Just this once," pled the big man with a kind face. While Four-Way continued squaring off by himself, old Harding acquiesced. The wizened man spoke, saying, "Man, I just get all worked up with a quickness. One of my girls gets hurt like that." "Let's go," Rio said calmly. "Too much talking, time to get to stomping." He dropped his cigarette, leaving it hissing on the ground. The posse followed him into the tea room, an abandoned diner built when Memphis knew a better, less violent age. They grabbed things they'd need from boxes, pantries, and hiding spots. Handcuffs, wire, a bag of fertilizer, a can of gasoline, and a half-drunk bottle of Hennessy thrown in for the road. They came here for a noble purpose, even if they're about to get dirty. They had a disgraced angel to avenge. Act 2. The Descent. The ratty Dayglow door flew off its rusty hinges with a bang, blowing up a cloud of dirt and cigarette butts in its wake. At the far end of a dilapidated shotgun shack just off South 3rd Street, Leon sat enthroned, his white suit and straight black hair unimpressed by the dramatic intrusion. 3 Bloods moved protectively from behind his chair, trying to appear united while concealing their fear. They had expected retaliation for what their boss had done to that poor woman, and now it had come. "That's right, motherfuckers! We up in this shit like that!" pronounced Four-Way as he bounded to the front of the room. Twirling a Little League slugger, he made room for Rio, Harding, and Jerome to march in for the slaughter. Lowering his smoldering cigar from his lips with a grace earned from abandoning church, Leon asked, "What's this about, Rio?" "It's about honor, you punk!" bellowed the cane-shaking apricot, trembling with fury. Rio nodded once, because that's all that needed to be said. It was on. "It ain't gotta go down like this, Rio. Let the past lay," said Leon, accompanied by the sound of his fist rocking a scrawny jaw and the Four-Way attached to it hitting the floor. "What you did ain't cool, Leon. You busted my mom's trick!" Rio shouted, finally losing his cool and clenching his eyes in rage. One of Leon's boys charged Rio, but the battle-ready Harding clocked him with a hard right and a string of expletives. Jerome jumped between 2 thugs and Four-Way's crying body, shovel in hand. Rio went at Leon, swinging his bike chain like a man possessed. Leon stood placidly, parrying and deflecting Rio's metallic assault with the mastery of his chrome dice-capped pimp stick. "Pang!" declared a solid shot against one of the thug's skulls by Jerome in this epic struggle. Apricot wasn't so lucky, as he got hit by another thug, and then he hit the floor, his cane scuttling away from him across the scuffed-up floor. "Boy toy, toss me the Hennessy," he implored Four-Way. "And quit crying, you little skillet. Get in the fight. Put your weight on it." Four-Way lay there crying as Jerome got tackled into the wall beside him. The old man helpless, Rio swept the almost empty bottle to the seasoned citizen, all the while still whipping his bike chain like mad at the villain who started all this. Leon's hair was unperturbed by this pathetic offensive. Licking his stubbly lips as he groped the bottle, old Harding swigged down the contents before throwing it in a beautiful overhand arc straight into the back of the dude who was kidney-punching Jerome senseless. The thug went down, much to the wheezing fat boy's salvation. "For Rio's mama," Jerome breathed weakly as he brought the shovel down again. Rushing unsteadily to help the chain-wielding Rio, a swift planting of Leon's chrome-top cane in his face sent Jerome to his back, out cold. Rio seized the moment of distraction and slapped Leon like a bitch on a toilet. That was the last thing and his friends would remember that night. Act 3. Denouement. Rio came to, his left eye swollen shut and the taste of cigarette smoke and metal in his mouth. Squatting beside him, Leon's white suit was pristine. His hair was slightly mussed. "Look, man, I just spoke the truth. We didn't have to do it like this," said Leon in a kind voice. "Revenge!" shrieked old Apricot, still stuck on his seized back. Chill out, old man. Leon spat over his shoulder without malice in his voice. It was his mom's, yo, squealed Four-Way, now tied to a folding chair. Leon's caramel face grimaced as he raised the back of his hand to the young moron. Just the threat was enough to shut him up. Jerome slouched against the poster-riddled wall. He was still breathing, but out cold. Raising his elbows on the dirty fast food wrappers all over the floor, Rio protested. You broke her, Leon. How's she supposed to go on now? You took everything away from her. That old turkey was dry, man. That's just a fact. We're no gravy, neither. Leon spoke consolingly, but firmly. I just said what everybody at the church potluck was thinking. Rio looked thoughtful. Well, you right. You still coming to dinner after church? Tell your mom I can't wait for more of her fried chicken, Leon offered, extending his right hand to help Rio off the filthy floor. Aye, said Rio, taking Leon's hand. Peace had come at last to the ghetto. I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed writing it. I enjoy looking back at it. And I would love to hear your thoughts on today's episode, this story, Teahouse of Vile Revolution. So please drop your comments in the chat. And if you did enjoy yourself, I do enjoy people liking and subscribing. Well, thank you for your time. And as we, dear friends, are soon to part, I wish you nothing but the best.